William arrived at the sheds in a bad mood. "I can't stand twins," he snapped. "Watch what you say, William," huffed Richard. "Same goes to you two. You're all the same. What's bitten you?" asked Roger. "It was at the same station where I met you two," William grumbled. "You're sure to meet them sooner or later." Richard and Roger were most intrigued. The next day, Richard was late arriving at the junction. The unusual sight of a Caledonian engine awaited him. He looked very cross. "What time do you call this?" snorted the engine crossly. Richard was surprised. "What's a Scottish engine doing all the way down here? I'm asking the questions. I'm not explaining myself to you. No wonder British Railways is in a sorry state if they have you to depend on. Watch your mouth." "Okay, and what are you to do about it?" Richard looked at the engine's nameplate. "Well, I remember there's only one Scottish engine in these parts named Donald," he grunted. "Come along, Richard," called his driver. "Don't bother arguing with him. We have better things to do." "Hey, Richard, I'll be sure to remember that." "You make sure you do," huffed Richard, and he rumbled away. A few days passed until Roger panted wearily into the junction. He was greeted by a furious-looking Caledonian engine. "Still not improved on your timekeeping skills, Richard," sniffed the Scot. "I'm not Richard, I'm Roger," came the blunt reply. "Anyway, you must be that Donald." "I'm not Donald, I'm Douglas." Before either engine could reply, they both parted ways. Later that day, at a small shed off the main line, Roger was resting when Douglas steamed in. The two engines eyed each other suspiciously, not knowing who was really who. Eventually, Richard steamed into the yards, followed by Donald. The four engines glanced at each other, and suddenly burst out laughing. "We're twins," they all said together. "What are two Caledonian engines doing in our neck of the woods?" asked Richard. "We belong to the Fat Controllers Railway on the island of Sodor," explained Douglas. "We escaped there since British Railways were going to scrap us." "Eh, funny enough it's British Railways who have hired us for a few days while some of their diesel's going for repairs," said Donald. Roger smiled. "We've heard of your railway before. One of our friends met a green engine of yours. I think he was called Henry." "Aye, grand lad is our Henry." "We're sorry we were both late. We were delayed by engineering works." Donald and Douglas showed sympathy on the two black fives. "Ugh, we know how it is. We're sorry we were so rude. It just feels a wee bit strange being back on BR. We'll be glad to be going home soon." The two twins spoke as if they were old friends. They chatted for hours, but all too quickly it came to an end, and Donald and Douglas were being prepared ready for their long journey home. "Take care of yourselves, lads," called Richard. "Eh, same goes to you too," grinned Donald. "And if you see that outspoken Stanley tank called William, tell him me and Donald will be keeping an eye out for him," chuckled Douglas. Richard and Roger laughed. They knew what that meant. Donald and Douglas, the Scottish twins, steamed happily away. Richard and Roger watched until they were out of sight. That evening the twins teased William. "Those Scottish twins said they'll be keeping an eye out for you. Strange, that is. Wonder what you said to provoke such a statement such as that." "Well, I thought they were quite nice." "Me too. They reminded me of us." "Ah, well, never mind, William. It might just be you." William said nothing.